you know, that kind of really, that moment right there spawned this whole idea of vulnerability, really grasping that feeling inside and trying to convey it. So I thought about when I locked myself away in my room, and that's really the worst thing you can do when you're dealing with a situation like that. You want to get out, you want to keep moving. You want to stay motivated, you meet people, get your endorphins moving. So what I did, the way that I reacted to the situation was the exact wrong way to handle it. And that's what I wanted to convey in these pieces. So when I, you know, went and locked myself up, it was a way of kind of like not having to think about all this harshness that I had dealt with. You know, I had been ripped apart so hard. And I, you know, came with the idea that a light bulb is kind of a representation of ideas, of thoughts, of our minds. And what I did was essentially trap my mind and didn't let myself think about what I was doing and branch out. And so this is kind of a representation of, you know, really caging this moment.
Exploring psychopathology, which is the scientific study of mental disorders, and specifically how that relates to addiction, like self-defeating addictions like drug addictions, alcoholism, things like that. What do I want to tell you? I don't want to give away too much. I guess I'm really more thinking of the addiction side. The psychological side is more to help me understand how to relate to that and interpret that to other people. So I'm doing these sculptures. They're poured paint. I'm also using this welded form to sort of do, I guess, talk about control in a way, and then the knitting, I'm trying to encourage people to walk through, so if you want to, you can come walk around in it. By the time I'm going to show in the tarball, I want to have like a lot more knitting. I want to be more immersive. I don't want you to see like these areas, but obviously it's in progress.
So for the last semester and a half, I've been riddled with like questions about critical theory and really heavily content-based stuff. And it kind of like set this mind block up. So I've been trying to get away from that, and we're getting more like a Greenbergian mentality, concentrating on like form, materials, and like the contradiction of the painting as an object or the painting as an illusionary space. These ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, were more like parodies and like historical modernist themes or artists, things like that. It's kind of like a way for me to get back into this kind of like language, painting language.
Yeah, well I was thinking originally, well I came in as a painter, I was doing these poured paintings with latex paint. My uncle's got this house painting business, so I was just taking whatever he gave me. But then when I started making the sculptures and thinking about this idea of addiction and everything, I was just automatically thinking about like a darker palette, trying to limit my palette more so it's easier to read into rather than being overly distracted by the colors and whatever's happening. So that's the sculptures. And then I was thinking about, when I started thinking about doing the knitting, I wanted it to be immersive, but somewhat, not really threatening, but just sort of uncomfortable. So I thought about like when you go into haunted houses and it's like all black, or when you go through that little like blown up thing and you can't see where anything is. So just trying to think about that.
So that's something that really stuck with me, with this idea of vulnerability. It's an odd dichotomy, that negative kind of ability for someone to take advantage of you, coupled with the importance of having a relationship, actually going through that to, you know, have something special with someone. So I created this instance here where a viewer is invited to come and sit in this chair underneath this piece. And if you'll see, it's connected to a cable running from the piece, connected to the wall over that. And so if a viewer sits in this chair and experiences this piece the way it's supposed to be experienced, in a way they're opening themselves up to everyone else in the room and saying, I'm trusting you to not go over to that cable, pull it off and drop this thing on my head and kill me. So it's really a way of allowing a viewer to put themselves in this position and to, you know, let everyone else in the room possibly harm you.